Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Jen Farmer from the Friedreich's Ataxia Research Alliance. This is our second community webinar for 2024. The first one we had back in January, and at that webinar, we focused on the commitment for pediatric drug development and highlighted a lot of our past and current initiatives to make sure that we have parallel drug development for both children and adults with FA. Today, I'm excited to be joined by other community members. So I am going to give some FARA updates, some pipeline updates, do some Q&A, and then I'm going to turn it over to the community members joining us today to share their experiences. And I'm excited for you all to meet them and hear from them and learn from them. And then I think we'll still have time at the end for additional Q&A discussion. Just so you all know, at the bottom of your webinar screen, there is a little Q&A box, and that's how you can submit your questions. And we've got folks who are going to be monitoring that so that when we get to the Q&A, they'll be ready to share your questions with us. So FARA, just a little bit of background. Hopefully some folks who are joining us today are new to the organization. FARA's mission is to develop treatments and a cure for FA. And we believe that that's only possible by bringing together the people and the science. We work in collaboration with a sense of urgency to build relationships, expand knowledge, and remove uncertainty. FARA's board of directors, our scientific advisory board members, and our staff have all made a promise to treat and cure FA through research. And we really do take this very seriously, and I'm excited to share this with you. It's not something we talk about often, but I think it is important to remind ourselves of that and also let our community know how deeply committed we are to our mission and to developing treatments for FA. Again, for those who are new to FARA, just a few thoughts about kind of how we do this. We believe that in order to develop treatments, we really have to invest in the science and the research. And we do that through a number of different kinds of programs. But our biggest program is by funding research grants. And we fund research grants to academic scientists, to pharma and industry. We also take on projects ourselves in-house that we manage and lead and direct. And we fund all types of research, whether it's the very basic science, like the underpinnings of FA, whether that's genetic or cellular, to funding, the tools that the research community needs, the animal models, the cell models. We also fund clinical research, natural history studies, biomarkers, and also investigator-initiated clinical trials. So we try to cover a wide range of research with the resources that we have. And we've tried to grow these resources because I think, as many of you know, we're the only organization solely dedicated to funding FA research. And so it's important for us to put as much of an effort towards this as possible and help the research community leverage what we can fund to other funding sources like the NIH or Department of Defense. FARA's strategy for funding research really is informed by looking at the whole drug development process, from the very beginning to identifying a target or what we can specifically target in terms of drug discovery, all the way through to the approval process. And think about each of those steps. Is there science we can fund, or are there resources we need to put in place, or are there programs we can specifically initiate or actions we can take from an advocacy perspective that really accelerate this process, and or put tools in place that bring other people, when other people come to research in FA, make them more successful and enable them to do research more efficiently. So that's just a quick overview. I realize that was super fast, but I thought it was important to just give you a little bit more background about who we are, what we're trying to do, and some of the exciting initiatives we have ongoing. I also want to share with you that FA Awareness Month is the month of May. And so no better way to kick off FA Awareness Month than with a community webinar. And I would like to just draw your attention to a few of our initiatives this month that anybody and everybody can participate in to help raise awareness. The first is a social media campaign, hashtag community to cure FA. We want to see your photos, and we want you to share your photos on social media and really help drive awareness about FA. This morning, the FARA staff all came out to the parking lot. We made our own Cure FA sign and did a photo, and can't wait to share that with you. But these are some examples of other kinds of photos that you could pull together, just to give you some inspiration for how you might want to approach our social media awareness campaign for the month of May. And I can't wait to see all your photos because you're way more creative than me. We will also have flash talks this month. And so the FARA flash talks are when we have our young investigators, our graduate students, our postdocs present their research to you. We ask them to do that in short presentations, 3 to 5 minutes long. And we ask them to make it friendly for a non-scientific audience. And we also invite people from our FA community to help moderate these sessions and ask questions of the researchers. So this is a nice way for you to learn a little bit more about some of the grants that we're funding that I talked about earlier, and kind of meet the researchers who are, at the bench doing a lot of this exciting FA science. And I think we've got some links for all of these events in the chat for you, if and hopefully you'll copy them and sign up. We also have fundraising events and awareness events happening throughout our community. The Seaside Stride in New Jersey has been held on FA Awareness Day, which is the third Saturday in May, for many years now, and it's an awesome event. We get a lot of people from the New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland area who all come together for the Stride, and many of our New Jersey families all come together to host this event. And then we've also got Ride Ataxia hometown events happening that weekend out in California. And we also have an event in Mississippi this year. And we haven't had a community event in Mississippi for quite some time, so that's also exciting. So some updates from the treatment pipeline. First caveat is I can't cover anything. So if I don't cover a program and it's something you have a question about, please feel free to put it in the chat. I'm just sharing some updates on programs where there's some new information that's recently become available, but happy to answer questions about stuff in other programs in the pipeline, as well as things not in the pipeline that you may just want to ask about. So the first update I'm going to share is on Skyclarys and kind of what's going on in moving Skyclarys forward. There's been a lot of activity in the US, especially advocacy with payers to help promote access. FARA has been partnering with the FA community, doing a lot of testimony at state Medicaid meetings to help make sure Skyclarys is added to formulary. We've also been doing advocacy and outreach with private payers to influence their policy decisions in terms of adding Skyclarys to formularies. As we talked about last time, we need Skyclarys approved not just in the US, but worldwide. And very exciting, in February, Skyclarys was approved by the EMA in Europe. And there's been a lot of work Biogen's been doing with our global advocacy partners, to expand access in other regions of the world as well: Canada, South America, Australia, New Zealand. We know we need Skyclarys in many other places than it's currently available, and that's, it's always slower than we want it to be, but we're now making really good progress, and I'm hearing good feedback from the community about this. Biogen here in the US and abroad also is really building their infrastructure of support for families. And I know for the US folks, if you are having trouble accessing Skyclarys, they have now put in place what are called family access managers. And these are folks who are not specifically part of the REACH program. They're Biogen staff members who work with REACH, but can help you if you are having access problems. And I know a lot of these family access managers are trying to make connections with people in the community if they're on Skyclarys. And so if you're getting calls from the family access managers, I would encourage you to make that connection. This is somebody who can help you when it comes time for renewals, or if you change insurance, or any kind of questions, hiccups, concerns you have. These folks are available to you. And if you haven't been connected to one, you can contact REACH and ask them to connect you to your family access manager. And then, as we talked about last time, we need to advance trials so that we can expand access for children with FA, for individuals under the age of 16. And I'm excited to share with you an outline for what will be the first clinical trial in individuals with FA who are less than 16 years of age. This is an important first step to being able to get approval for Skyclarys in younger age groups. We have to do additional research on omaveloxolone in order to be able to expand access and approvals to children. And so the first step is a phase 1b study, a dose-finding study. It is highly possible that the dose that's been approved for adults will not be the right dose for children. And so this first study is designed to test the safety and tolerability of OMAV in children who are over 2 and less than 16 with FA. It's a single dose study, but individuals are followed for up to 15 days after that single dose, so that safety and tolerability can be well studied. That's part 1 of the study, the single dose, and then it will be followed by a part 2, which is an open label extension. And then the open label extension, individuals will be taking OMAV for a longer period of time, again, under a protocol where their safety is monitored while they're taking OMAV. So again, it's a 2-part study. Part 1, single dose. Part 2, open label extension. The protocol is currently under review with the FDA and the Institutional Review Board at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. As soon as the Institutional Review Board, or IRB, at the Children's Hospital approves the study and the site is initiated, they'll be able to begin the study, and that's anticipated to be this summer, which is approaching quite quickly now since it's May. A little bit more about the study. Again, I mentioned it's a dose-finding study, and dose-finding studies are a little different in terms of how they're structured. So here you'll see that there are 3 cohorts of individuals that will be enrolled in the study based on age. Cohort A are individuals 12 to 15. Cohort B are individuals 6 to 11, and cohort C are individuals 2 to 5 years of age. And you see, I have this figure here drawn in a staggered manner because that's how enrollment happens when you're doing dose finding studies. You enroll the first cohort at the first dose, monitor the safety, and then you proceed to the second dose. And then you can proceed to the next cohort at a dose, and then the next cohort. So not everybody who will be enrolled in this study gets enrolled at the same time. There's often kind of this start-stop that occurs. Now you might be asking, how can I sign up for this study? Because it's not fully approved yet, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia can't sign you up yet. If you call them today, they will not be able to take your name. They'll not be able to put you on a list yet. They cannot officially recruit or enroll the study until it is approved. Once the study is approved, FARA and CHOP will send announcements out to the community. We will let you know that it's been approved, and we will announce that there is now the opportunity to sign up. Because there are only limited spots, we are going to, or CHOP is going to announce a sign-up time window. And folks will be able to sign up during a period of time, probably about a week to 10 days, where you can contact them, get your name on a list that you are interested in the study, that you would like to participate. Once that window of sign up closes, they will use random selection to select from the people who signed up for each age group to enroll in the study. One thing that I want to emphasize is that we want to get this study done as quickly as possible. We want to enroll everyone in each cohort as fast as possible, get them through this study, because this study is important for informing dose, but we still need another study to demonstrate efficacy. And we can't start the efficacy study until we have the dose study completed. And so we're going to be contacting people and asking you to sign up really quickly. And, you know, hopefully with it being over the summer and kids not being in school, that will make it easier for folks to be able to do that. But the CHOP team will be able to share more information once the study's approved, once they can start that recruitment process. They'll be able to give you a little bit better idea of what the timeline might be. But just know that it's going to happen fast, and we're going to try and make it go really fast, because the sooner we finish this study, the sooner we can start the next study. I'm going to move on to a few other updates in the few minutes that I have remaining. Next, I'm going to move on to vatiquinone. Vatiquinone just completed a global registration trial called MOVE-FA. This was a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial, and it's followed by an open label extension. So the double-blind, placebo-controlled trial was recently finished, and there were results reported out that I think we've reviewed previously with the community. But there's an open label extension currently ongoing. So there's additional data that's being collected as part of the study. And so I thought it was important to just remind folks of that and the importance of this open label extension study. The primary result of the double-blind placebo-controlled study showed that individuals taking vatiquinone compared to placebo had less decline on their upright stability score. This is a measure of gait and balance that is part of a neurological rating scale we call mFARS. So there was a statistically significant improvement on the upright stability rating scale. And there was also an improvement on patient-reported outcome measure of fatigue. And there was also improvement on a 1-minute walk test, although it didn't quite reach statistical significance. When you look at the data from the mFARS, the full neurological rating scale, where we look at speech, upper limb function, lower limb function, and the upright stability. Interestingly, what you see when you look at both placebo and people on vatiquinone, placebo's gray, vatiquinone's green. If you look at upper limb, lower limb, and bulbar, what you can see is that nobody changed during the course of the study. Not the people in the placebo group, not the people taking vatiquinone. But when you look at upright stability, that was the only portion of the scale that was changing in the population of people that were enrolled into the study. And so that was the only place we could see improvement on mFARS. And so this was an important finding that PTC shared with the FDA, and FDA recognizes the importance of balance and gait in the context of Friedreich's ataxia. And so PTC is continuing to collect data through the open label extension study to get additional information on how people do in terms of measures of gait and balance, both from the mFARS, the upright stability, other outcome measures over a longer period of time, and are going to compare that to natural history controls. And hopefully that will provide additional evidence of efficacy for vatiquinone. One thing that was recently shared that I wanted to mention related to vatiquinone, if folks are in the open label extension study and they're turning 16 years of age and they're wondering, can we take Skyclarys while we're on vatiquinone? PTC recently announced that they are making an update to the open label extension study. Once individuals complete their 12-month visit in the open label extension, if they would like to be, if they are over 16 and would like to begin Skyclarys, they can do so and stay enrolled in the open label extension. I'm going to give an update now on another program, one quick announcement about a study that's ongoing and enrolling. This is the NAD and exercise study that's going on at CHOP, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And this is a study looking at exercise and a supplement called NAD. This study is still enrolling. They need about 5 or 6 more individuals to volunteer for this study. They'd really like to finish enrollment of this by the fall, so that the full study is completed by the end of the year. So participation in this study takes about 12 weeks. One of the incentives for the study is that if you're interested in getting into cycling, if you are randomized to the exercise arm of the study, you do get a recumbent cat trike, and you get to keep it. And if you're not enrolled into the exercise arm, at the end of this study, if you are still interested in the exercise protocol, that is still available to you. So if you're interested in the NAD and exercise study or want to learn more about it, I included Anna Dedeo. She's the study coordinator, her contact information here. So now I'm going to give an update on CTI 1601, or a drug that is now called nomlabofus, or NOMLA for short, because nomlabofus is too hard to say over and over again. This is a protein replacement. So we all know that frataxin is deficient in everyone with FA, and this is the root cause of Friedreich's ataxia. This is what leads to the cellular dysfunction and the symptoms associated with the disease. And so the idea is, on the left is a cartoon of normal frataxin protein. And when normal frataxin protein gets made, it gets made with a special mitochondrial targeting sequence on the front of it. And that's what chaperones frataxin into the mitochondria. And when frataxin gets into the mitochondria where it needs to do its job, that mitochondrial targeting sequence gets cleaved off. So NOMLA is really similar. It's got the what looks like it's the same, sequence of human frataxin with a mitochondrial targeting sequence, but also a cell-penetrating peptide. And NOMLA needs the cell-penetrating peptide because its administered through a subcutaneous injection, so kind of like insulin. So you inject it, but it's got to get into the cell. And so the cell-penetrating peptide gets NOMLA into the cell. The mitochondrial targeting sequence allows NOMLA to enter into the mitochondria. And then that mitochondrial targeting sequence and the cell-penetrating peptide are cleaved off, and you have mature frataxin now in the mitochondria to do its job. Over the last few years, there have been several studies completed by Larimar Therapeutics to test NOMLA. They were single and multiple ascending dose studies. And recently, they completed a phase 2b study that looked at 2 doses of NOMLA given over 28 days. NOMLA was given every single day for the first 14 days, and then every other day for days 15 to 28. And they looked at levels of frataxin protein in skin cells from the individuals with FA who were participating in the trial. And quick review of those results. On the left here, what you see is in gray are individuals who were randomized to placebo. In green or aqua are individuals who got 25 milligrams of NOMLA. And in dark blue, 50 milligrams of NOMLA. And what you see is that after 14 days of dosing NOMLA every day, frataxin levels in the skin went up, and it was a dose-dependent increase. In the next, and the other side of this graph, you see at day 28, after people took NOMLA every other day, there was still an increase in frataxin levels, but especially in the 50 milligram group, it was not as big of an increase as you see with dosing every single day. So this study helped us learn that dosing NOMLA every day is needed, and that there was a dose-dependent increase. On the right is what we call a waterfall plot. And it shows you slightly different way of looking at kind of everyone in the study and how much did their frataxin levels change over the course of the study. And this is an easier way to see kind of that dose-dependent increase. Another way to look at the data, and I thought this was particularly helpful. Over here on the left, you're looking at everyone in the 25 milligram group. At the beginning of the study, at baseline, before any NOMLA is given, this is what individuals' frataxin levels were compared to healthy volunteer controls. So the individual at the top left had less than 12% of healthy frataxin or normal frataxin at baseline. These 4 individuals had 12 to 25% of normal frataxin. After 14 days of NOMLA, you see people moved up to higher levels of frataxin, comparing their levels to normal healthy volunteer frataxin. And then on the right were the folks who were in the 50 milligram cohort. There you see 4 people started in that less than 12% of normal group, and the other 5 people in the 12 to 25%. And after 14 days of dosing, everybody moved up to either the 25 to 35% or more than 35% of normal frataxin. So these results are really encouraging. Larimar has just opened an open label extension. This study is by invitation only, and it's open to people who participated in the phase 1 and phase 2 trial. Folks are now being contacted to start enrollment into the study. Sites, the site at CliniLabs in New Jersey is one site, but we will also, they will also have sites open at all of our clinical research network sites in the US, where we do our natural history study. They're trying to get each site open. So I know UCLA, University of South Florida, University of Florida, CHOP, Iowa, all these sites are going to be coming open over the next month or two. Individuals enrolled in open label extension will be taking 25 milligrams of NOMLA by subcutaneous injection every day. And the goal is to look at safety, tolerability, long-term PK, and then tissue concentrations of frataxin. There will be other studies of NOMLA starting. This isn't the only study, but this study is getting started because we only have safety data and people taking NOMLA for up to 28 days. So we need longer safety data, and that will help us, that will help Larimar develop and design what they hope to be a phase 3 efficacy study. And they've said that they would like to start that phase 3 efficacy study early next year. And they've also, I think, shared that, you know, they're committed to developing NOMLA in both pediatric and adult. And they've been talking with FDA on how to initiate simultaneous pediatric and adult studies. So more to come on that from Larimar. And then the last program I want to highlight is the program that's currently in the clinic and enrolling, which is the Lexeo Therapeutics investigational gene therapy trial of LX2006 to treat the cardiomyopathy of FA. Cardiomyopathy is an important symptom, an important aspect of FA that leads to premature death in FA. It can shorten lifespan, specifically because the cardiomyopathy can cause congestive heart failure and arrhythmias. Not everybody with FA gets the cardiac disease, but for some individuals, for the individuals who do get it, it can be a significant risk. And so this program is specifically targeting treating the cardiomyopathy of FA. This is a gene therapy study. The treatment is a gene therapy. So they take a correct copy of the frataxin gene, they put it in a viral capsid, and the viral capsid is what delivers the gene to your cells. And then once the gene's in the cell, it can be expressed and it makes frataxin protein. What's unique about gene therapy treatments is that they're permanent. It doesn't wash out of your system after a while the way typical drugs do. This is delivering a copy of the gene to the cell, and that copy of that gene stays there permanently. Now, one of the challenges with gene therapy, though, is we can't deliver a copy of the gene yet to every single cell. And that's why this is targeting the cardiomyopathy, because the virus that's used targets the heart really well. And that's why we think that this treatment approach can treat the cardiomyopathy of FA. So just some important information. For those who are interested, we have more information on the website. I didn't, in 5 minutes, can't fully cover all the aspects of a gene therapy trial, but would encourage you to review the information we have there or to reach out to Lexeo or one of the study sites for more information. This study is enrolling adults age 18 to 50 with FA. There's detailed inclusion-exclusion criteria that each subject has to kind of be evaluated for. There are multiple sites in the US that are currently enrolling and recruiting, and I believe they are taking individuals outside the US as well, but you do have to travel to the US in order to be able to participate. There were some recent results that Lexeo shared from the first 2 cohorts of this study. This is also a multiple ascending dose study. So they started cohort 1 at dose A, cohort 2, dose B, cohort 3, which they're now enrolling, is the highest dose, dose C. And what they reported from the first 2 cohorts is that they are seeing frataxin levels go up. They're doing cardiac biopsies, so they actually know that the frataxin levels are increasing in those heart cells that they're measuring from the biopsy. And they are seeing a dose-dependent increase. At least they can see the dose-dependent increase between cohort 1 and cohort 2. And so Lexio is continuing to push forward with this study, and I encourage you to, again, visit the website or contact Lexio for more information. So with that, I'm going to pause my pipeline updates. And maybe since that took me a little longer than I anticipated, I am gonna stop sharing my slides and ask Ron Bartek, my partner here at FARA, to help introduce the second part of our community webinar and update. And we'll be sure to take questions as well after our next session.
Okay, in the interest of time, I'm just going to really foreshorten my brief introduction. Just say, we would all agree we've just heard some really exciting updates, some really exciting progress being made in our research, and none of that would be possible without all of you. And want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your continued support. And we couldn't do any of this without that support. And whether you choose to raise funds yourself or donate to other people's fundraisers or get involved in our advocacy programs, whatever you decide to do, your support is essential to continued progress. So we really appreciate everything you've already done and what you will continue to do. And with that in mind, I'll turn it over to our dear colleague, Kellen Madden, and the two families, the Lempickies and the Morrows.
Thanks so much, Ron, for the introduction. My name is Kellen Madden. I have been with FARA for almost a year. I'm the patient engagement manager, and I'm really excited today to be talking with the Lempickies and the Morrows, and they are just going to share a little bit about how they got involved in the FA community and how they engage with the FA community and FARA. We would love it if other people in the chat could talk a little bit about your own experiences. So then if you do have questions about everything Jen just spoke about or questions for any of the panelists here today, it would be helpful to put those in the Q&A box in case people have more things to share in the chat. That way we could get to the questions easier. All right, so we're just going to have the families introduce themselves, and why don't we start with Kristen and Anna Morrow.
Hi, everyone. My name's Anna. I'm 18. I was diagnosed with FA when I was 9. My mom is here also, so if she wanted to start and just, yeah.
Hi, Kristen Morrow. My husband Ben and I became involved in the FARA community pretty soon after our daughter Anna was diagnosed, and have found it to be incredibly easy and incredibly rewarding. So we began, I probably through ride ataxia, and quickly got to know many community members within the FA community, and learning so much at Ride Ataxia and then at the symposium in Philadelphia. We became aware of research studies, drug trials, became friends with many community members. And then it really encouraged us to do some fundraising. So I'll let Anna speak to more of it as an actual patient, but really found all of those aspects to be so interrelated. And so recognizing that the benefits of research and trials, and then being able to talk to different community members about our shared participation. And then without the fundraising, all of those things, really putting that into motion. So Anne, I'll turn it over to you, and you can speak a little bit to your personal experiences with all of those aspects.
Yeah, I think, so as my mom mentioned, we first got involved with the FA community at the first Friedreich Ataxia Philadelphia my parents attended. I think I was diagnosed early in the summer of 2015. They attended that first 2015 Friedreich Ataxia Philly in October. I was not at that event. I think my parents first wanted to kind of introduce themselves to this community, because I think that can be scary for a 9-year-old to see just the possible future I could have within this community. But I think soon after that, my parents realized that there was so much hope that Miss Farmer mentioned in her presentation, that there's so much that we can do, that I can do to get involved and help everyone with FA that I know, help myself a little selfishly, but I think I got involved. I was in a trial at UCLA when I was 10, I think. Yeah. So I traveled there like 9 times in a year. It was pretty fun, I won't lie. But that was just a great way for me to get involved and just to kind of see the impact I could make. I think even I'm sitting here so encouraged by all the research that's going on right now, and I can't believe that I was part of some of those studies. Just that everyone plays such a vital role in participation and fundraising and research, and just I think my recently we held a fundraiser in my school community, and I sent a thank you to everyone who participated, and I said the more times the words Friedreich Ataxia are spoken, the better. And I think it can also be terrible. No one wants to hear FA. It's a terrible diagnosis, and I think for most of the time it feels pretty terrible and it might feel lonely, but there's so much hope. And by getting involved in the smallest ways, like I've found with my family and my community in Baltimore, along with the FA community and FARA, there's so much we can do together. A little bit about me, I'm a senior in high school. So throughout my time in school and just as my progression of FA has increased, I have kind of found ways to advocate for FA and rare disease in my own community. Some ways my family has done that have been, before COVID, we had a pretty big and just fun fundraising event. It was really great to just see our whole community come and support us. I think that is a really great way to not feel so alone. I think, and there's so very small ways you can do that. I think, like for FA Awareness Month, taking a picture with your neighbors with a Cure FA sign. I think there's so many ways that you can feel supported by your community by also giving back to FARA and with that support ways that we can find your treatment and cure for FA. My family and I recently at my school held, like I mentioned, a lacrosse fundraiser. Lacrosse is it's a big sport in Baltimore that I've loved forever. I started playing when I was 5 and have loved the opportunity to be on my team at school. And I was lucky my coach and my parents and our athletic director supported us in creating a tournament fundraiser this past week or 2 weekends ago. I think we raised around $30,000. It was a really fun event. It was a way I incorporated something I love and just was able to share it with lacrosse teams and families in our community, and I hope that they will continue to spread what they learned and what we all can be doing to help cure FA. We had the opportunity last night to talk with a new FA family in our area, and I was just kind of shocked at how happy I was to be talking about all of this. I think and I just kept smiling the whole time because I knew that they were not alone in this, and I just got another friend. It was great. And what terrible news to receive from to a young family, but then like they're also gaining this whole other family. So probably I was just so happy to be able to share this whole community with them. And I think that's something we can all be doing, just sharing what we know and what we learned, and then also continuing to show up to these events and learning more and learning what we can do. Yeah.
Thanks, Anna, and thanks, Kristen, for sharing that and for all the work you guys do. And congrats on that great fundraiser, and congrats, Anna, on your upcoming graduation. Let's pass it over to the Limpickies. We have Jeremy and Carrie Limpicki here. Can you guys introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about how you first got involved in the FA community and why you get involved?
So I'm Jeremy, this is Carrie. Our daughters are 13 years old. We have twin daughters that both have FA. They were diagnosed around when they were in kindergarten. I think early on how we really got connected was it seemed like there were several families in the Michigan area that were getting diagnosed around the same time. And being the doctor can't share names or who those people are to help you connect to others, Carrie started a Facebook group for Michigan families dealing with FA and shared that with the neurologist and said, hey, if these people are looking to connect to somebody locally, here's a way to make that connection without violating HIPAA laws. So very early on, we became connected. Carrie met Ruth Acton early on from FARA. She was a great resource to help us out early on. And from there, just involvement continued to grow. Our first appointment in Philadelphia, we met Jen Farmer. She came out to our appointment and introduced herself, told us about some of the work that FARA is doing, and that just meant a whole lot to us. And there was, ironically enough, another Michigan family, the Brandons, at the same time. They had their first appointment at SHOP the day after us, and so we met them for the first time, and we just started building these friendships and relationships and find ways to help each other out through everything that we're going through.
Yeah, and I'll just say the Ride Ataxia events, I think, are my favorite events. We actually go to 2 of them now, and you get just so much out of it. Just a huge, tight-knit community. I think Kristen said it earlier, like the friendships that you develop over the years there. I mean, hopefully Kyle's nowhere in earshot, but I don't ride. I like to actually stay back and spend time with the families while everyone else is out riding. But to me, it's like a family reunion. So we go to 2 of them every year. We raise funds however we can. And you'll find that a lot of your family members and some friends want to do it with you. And once they experience it, they actually like it and they want to come back. So to me, like, with working with FARA, Ride a Taxi is one of my favorite events to join, just because we have lifelong friendships. And I think Anna said this, like, also, you're not alone, and it's so important, right, that you have these connections for our kids as well. At least that's what our experience has been. So that's why we continue to do it. We think it's important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to kind of build on one thing that Anna said too about sharing your story and creating awareness. I mean, sometimes people say, well, what does creating awareness do? It's just awareness to the word, or how does it help? But we share our story quite a bit. I share a lot of posts on Facebook, sometimes making those public, hashtagging FA. And I've had numerous times where complete strangers have reached out to me and said, hey, my child was just diagnosed with this, or a loved one has this, and can we connect and share some feedback and learn what's going on? How can we help to make a difference? And some of our events in the community, we've had complete strangers come out and say, I had a cousin or a grandparent with this, and what can we do to help? So a lot of times it's sharing your story, it helps with the fundraising, but it can also help you connect to others and help them cope and deal with what they're going through.
Thank you. I think you guys have all touched on a lot of different ways about why getting involved is important, from fundraising to building those connections. But do you have any final thoughts to share for all 4 of you on what the most impactful part of being involved in the FA community has been?
I mean, I feel like we're all in this together. It would be great if we had more families, as many families as possible join, in these events. Specifically for me, it's ride ataxia, because you just have so much participation, across multiple states sometimes. And you might feel, hey, I need to raise all this money, not necessarily. I mean, raise a little bit, right? I mean, the thing is, there's power in numbers, there's power in as many families that join these events. So if we had more people that join the events, the community will be stronger, will be more tight knit, we'll have, a larger family, let's say. But also, just raising a small amount, it all adds up, right? And it goes to the right place. FARA is such an important organization. It's all going towards curing or treating FA and the advocacy. As Jen mentioned, they do more than just, the studies, right? Help with the studies and discussions with scientists. They do also state advocacy to get the drugs funded. That's also like a great benefit to us. So, I can't say enough about FARA. They're all the board, a lot of the board members have family with FA. They're all in it, to get this done. So I can't say enough about it. The whole experience, the family, the community, we all have to try to do something. So just want to say.
I think the kind of the first step of putting yourself out there to your community and the FA community is so give so much anxiety can come from that, but I have found that I felt so supported by my community because I'm open about my experience and I share with my friends and my family and I share with my FA family. I think that's the greatest joy of all of this is just the amazing community and family I've created.
Kristen or Jeremy, anything to add on those points?
Again, just, being involved, and it can help in so many ways. Carrie spoke to the power of FARA, and, we've seen what it's done for the community with the approval of Skyclaris, and fundraising goals continue to increase each year. The funding for research continues to increase each year, and the work helps our loved ones, our family directly. It's not just a general research fund, it's directed at Friedreich's ataxia.
Yes, I mean, seeing the benefits of all coming together and sharing our stories and experiences with each other. I agree. Ride ataxia, I always stay back just so I can talk to as many folks as I can as well. And it really is comforting to talk with one another. But then we all feed off of one another after those times when, as an FA community, we come together. I feel we take so many things from each other and then bring them back to our own communities to continue spreading awareness and growing the communities once at home and fueling each other in our daily lives. But that benefit of coming, those opportunities that FARA provides to come together and join with one another and then be able to this back and forth of back to our own communities and then come back to each other. And it has been so beneficial to the whole community, I feel.
Well, thank you guys for taking the time out of your day and school to speak with us and to speak to the whole community. I wanted to turn it back over to Jen to see if there were any questions she wanted to address before we close the webinar. And if there are questions for the specific panelists, the families here with us as well, please put them in the Q&A.
Thanks, Kellen. Anna, Kristen, Carrie, Jeremy, thank you all so much for sharing, what you've learned over the past few years and what your experiences have been. I hope everyone feels as motivated for FA Awareness Month now as I do, because you all shared your enthusiasm. And I know it's hard sometimes. You can't be enthusiastic every day with FA. I know that, but I think that, you all have figured out a way to find that enthusiasm and share it. And the power in that is really, that's why I'm here. I've been in this community for 25 years. People ask me why I've stayed, and it's because of all of you and the inspiration and the hope and the enthusiasm and the, like, let's get this attitude that, that keeps me 110% committed and trying to work myself out of this job. So thank you all so much. And I hope that you're all of our participants today are, really encouraged to join in the FA Awareness Month efforts. Simple photo, or join one of our webinars, our flash talks, or attend an event. These can be life-changing opportunities for you if you've not met other people with FA yet. So thank you all again very much for sharing. We do have some questions in the Q&A, and I've been trying to answer some of them with written answers, but maybe I can take one or two right now. There are a bunch of questions about NOMLA. Just to reiterate, NOMLA is a protein replacement. It's like insulin. When you inject it, it gets into the cells, but proteins get degraded over time, which is why it has to be re-administered. It's not just one time like a gene therapy. With the gene therapies, the gene is put into the nucleus of the cell and it's permanently there. And with protein, with replacing the protein gets degraded, and so we've got to give it multiple times. There were some questions about, like, was there an improvement on mFARS with NOMLA? We don't know. The drug was only given for 28 days, and they were primarily looking at frataxin levels as well as safety and tolerability. They'll start looking at things like the mFARS and other measures of functional ability in the open label extension. So hopefully, a few months down the road from now, we'll start to learn more about kind of how are people feeling and functioning when they can take NOMLA for a longer period of time. There was a question about, can you take Skyclarys while you're taking NOMLA? Larimar has updated their study protocol. They are going to let people who are taking Skyclarys participate in the open label extension. Again, that open label extension is by invitation to people who were in the phase 1 and phase 2. But you can, if you are on Skyclarys, I think it's for 3 months or 6 months, you can enter the NOMLA open label extension, or you can start the open label extension, and once you're on NOMLA for several months, you can then add Skyclarys on top of it. Let's see. I think those were most. Oh, there was one other question about NOMLA, which was, will there be will they increase the dose to the 50 milligrams? And the answer to that is they have to get permission from the FDA. So they're in the process of submitting the 50 milligram data to the FDA. The FDA will review it, and if FDA approves 50 milligrams, they will update the protocol, and people will then be able to take 50 milligrams instead of the 25. But they'll let us know as soon as they have that approval. Maybe I think I answered a bunch of those questions. I don't know if Anna or Kristen or Jeremy, Carrie, do you guys see other questions I should answer before we break?
I don't see any.
Okay. Hopefully I got to a good number of them.
So I know some people were answering some in the chat as well too, as they were being asked.
Okay, good. I know that I saw a few questions about any trials upcoming in India. Maybe I'll just quickly answer that one and then we can sign off. Because when we talk about our community, we're not just the US, right? We're a global FA community. And we recently established a clinical research network site in India, in New Delhi, at the Ames Institute. And so individuals can go to the Ames Institute and participate in the natural history study, We're hoping that by establishing the center there, that we'll be able to have future clinical trials in India as well. And this summer, I will be visiting the India site with Kyle Bryant. We'll be there at the end of June, and we're hoping to have a community day at the Ames where we can come together with you and we can meet the researchers in India. We can talk about treatments that are being developed. We can share experiences like we did today, living with FA, and provide support to one another. And so I know the team at Ames in New Delhi has information for families who would like to sign up. If you are having trouble getting that information, feel free to reach out to me or Kyle, and we'll get that for you as well.
And Jen, there was one question in the Q&A box about gene therapy, the gene therapy for the heart that you explained. Maybe it's of more general interest, and that was that can that gene therapy for heart be redirected to other tissues like the nervous system? And the answer is that this particular gene therapy is specifically targeted to the heart, especially because of the delivery vehicle, the adeno-associated viral vector that goes more specifically to the heart. But there are other programs by other companies and other academic investigators being directed at gene therapy for other tissues, including the nervous system. So not yet underway.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron. Well, thank you all again for sharing your time with us today and participating in our second community webinar for the year, and look forward to seeing you all out in the community. Take care.
Thank you all.